Hello, hello. This is the first ever Iggy Pod, or the Iggy Podcast. I think I'm going to go with Iggy Pod. I think I like that a little bit better. But yeah, this is the first ever Iggy Pod. I have basically decided to start a podcast. I don't really have anything particular in mind besides the fact that I'm just going to talk about whatever I feel like talking about. I feel like, in general, I wanted to put more content out there. And the biggest issue with content, I think for me personally, is editing. I'm really bad at editing. So what better thing to do than do an unedited podcast, or at least very minimally edited podcast. So that was pretty much my plan. So that's what I'm going to do going forward. And I've got a bunch of topics written down here in my handy-dandy notepad, and we're going to talk about some stuff today. So the first thing I wanted to chat about was basically what you can expect when listening to the Iggy Pod. I haven't really set an amount of time that this podcast is going to be, how long it's going to be every week. I'm believing I'm going to do twice a week uploads. I'm going to try to get this one up for Saturday, so if it's Saturday right now, then happy Saturday. I hope you're having a great Saturday. If you're watching this after Saturday, just have a good fucking day. Just have a good fucking day. And besides that, it's basically going to be whatever. I know that it doesn't look great right now. The production is not optimal. I think the sound is going to be pretty good. What's on the video, I'm not super cool with yet, but don't worry about that. I'm planning on making it better as we go along, because I didn't expect this beautiful baby to come in so quickly. I didn't have enough time to plan, and I think in general, a lot of issues I run into as a person is spending too much time planning and not enough time doing. So I spend so much time thinking about, okay, I'm going to make this the title. I'm going to have this up here. I'm going to spend time doing this. I'm going to spend time doing that. Next thing you know, I give up and I don't fucking upload the podcast. So this is the first thing I'm doing. I came up with a name. I figured out a schedule somewhat. I'm just going to do the fucking thing, because if I do the fucking thing, at least the thing is done and it's uploaded and we're good to go. So that's pretty much the plan. So I know this is not a great view. I know my face is probably too big on this video. It's going to improve as we go along, and I hope you'll stick with me for that. So the first thing I kind of wanted to talk about today was actually, the most recent Foo Fighters record. I'm a huge Foo Fighters fan. I think I got into the Foo Fighters back in high school. A friend of mine introduced me to them, Jeremy. If you're watching, you're not watching, but hi, Jeremy. And Noah, I think, as well. Jeremy and Noah, you two really introduced me to the Foo Fighters massively, and got really, really big into them for a long time in high school, and I really, really love a lot of their records. There were some that I think I haven't listened to as much. I would definitely say I haven't listened to One by One that much. What I have listened to, I haven't liked particularly well. And I haven't listened to In Your Honor enough. I know that. I've listened to the hits off that album, but I have not listened to that album nearly enough, and that does upset me a lot. But in general, my two favorite albums of theirs are probably your two favorite albums of theirs, The Color and the Shape and Wasting Light. Wasting Light definitely being my favorite. That record is unbelievable, and I am a huge fan. So because I became a fan when I was in high school from 2010 to 2014, so either feel old or feel young, depending on your age. So I was in college when they released Sonic Highways. And I thought it was pretty good, but at the same time, it's not an album I really went back to. I had a few songs on there, Something from Nothing. Fucking live for that song. I think I Am a River was really, really good. I am a river. Oh, God, now I'm just thinking about it like, da-na-na-na-na, it's a fun song, but it wasn't amazing. It definitely wasn't Wasting Light level. It wasn't amazing. And I honestly straight up fucking skipped Concrete and Gold. I didn't listen to a second of it. And I asked around some friends of mine that I trust, and they were like, that's for the best. A friend of mine that I really respect basically said they went full dad rock mode. So I was like, that's not good. But I did like what I heard from Run and from This Guy Is a Neighborhood. So I know eventually I'm going to buy the CD and go back into it. But it's not something I'm interested in now. So suffice to say, I was a tad, what's the word? Pessimistic. I was a tad pessimistic going into Medicine at Midnight, and then I heard Shame, Shame, and I was more pessimistic because I was like, this is fucking weird. Like, what are they doing? And like, just this fucking bump, bottom. Like, it's so fucking bizarre. And it's so not Foo Fighters, too. That was my weird thing. I was like, man, they've really lost the plot here, haven't they? And then when the album came out, I said, okay, you got to give it a shot. So let's give it a shot. If it sucks, it fucking sucks, whatever. You don't have to listen to it. You can just stop. And to my surprise, it's fantastic. Like, really good. I thought it would suck, but it's really fucking good. Super different for them. I think that to me, that was the most interesting part, was that Concrete and Gold, Sonic Highways, they tried to do something different, but it was weird different. Like, they weren't committing to it. They were committing to their other ideas, but it didn't seem, I didn't listen to Concrete and Gold that much, but for Sonic Highways at least, they tried something, and it didn't really feel like it worked that well. With Medicine at Midnight, they kind of went in a completely different direction, but still maintained their style. And they went with a weird, dancey kind of rock feel, and it's really fun. And it's weird that they're like, what, fucking 45, 50 almost now? But they're still like making you jive and shit. And especially because it's the Foo Fighters. Like, when you listen to the Foo Fighters, you're not like, I'm here to dance, motherfucker. What was that fucking Dave Grohl? Oh, God. Two guys were, like, fighting or whatever at one of the shows, and he's like, you don't come to my shows to fight. You come to my shows to fucking dance. Or some shit. I'd love to find that clip again, but... yeah, I don't think of dancing when I think of the Foo Fighters, but... this record is good. My only complaint, I will say, is I wish it was longer. It's only 9 songs, and that's not enough, Dave. It's just not enough. Give me 11 songs. Give me your classic 11, 12, something to that effect. Don't give me 9. It's 9 good songs, and if you didn't want to put in any filler, you were really close to doing that. I think there's only one song that's kind of not great. And it might grow on me by the time this podcast is up even. Fuck, I don't know. And that song is Holding Poison, by the way. I think that's the only one that I think is kind of meh. Besides that, almost every song's a fucking banger. No Son of Mine. Waiting on a War, I think, is the best song on the album. Make It a Fire is really good. Just a great fucking album. And if you're a fan of rock, and if you're a fan of the Foo Fighters... definitely listen to the album. It's really, really fun, and I like it. I like it a lot, and I hope you do too. The other thing I wanted to talk about, I'm going to talk a little bit about hockey. Hockey's my shit. I want to talk about hockey. I'm a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, so we're going to talk about hockey. And this is what this podcast is, by the way. This podcast is just going to be what I want to fucking talk about. If shit's going on and you want me to talk about it, comment down below, and, I'll give my thoughts on it, or you can tweet me at Nick Ignatov. I'll make sure my Twitter is in there, and you can tweet me directly if you want me to talk about something. But otherwise, if no one asks me to talk about shit, I'm just going to talk about whatever the fuck I want to talk about. And right now, that's the Toronto Maple Leafs. Fuck, they look good this year. Holy shit. And right now, they're in a lot of injury trouble. As I'm recording this, it is Thursday. Shit, what day? Is it Thursday? No, it's fucking Wednesday. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday the 24th today. And they're literally about to play the Calgary Flames in about 6 minutes. Or at least, that's the 8 p.m. start. They're not going to drop the puck for another fucking 35. But yeah, they look really, really good, man. And I am excited as a Leafs fan. I'm excited because, one, Austin Matthews is having the best season of any Leaf ever right now. At least he's on pace. We don't know what's going to happen, and fucking pray that motherfucker stays healthy and doesn't go through a bad streak. But Austin Matthews is who I will be telling my kids about. My dad told me about Dougie Gilmour and told me about Wendell Clark and Dave Ellett and all these 90s stars that he loved. And I'm going to be telling my kids about Austin Matthews and about Mitch Marner and about William Nylander and John Tavares and Frederik Andersen. Frederik Andersen, maybe not as much. We'll see. We'll see if he signs again. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. But it's just incredible. And this Canadian division, I hope it never leaves. And not because the Leafs are too fucking good for it, but because it's just fun. The chirping has been excellent. Just excellent. From Habs fans saying they're the best. By the way, your coach got fired today. To Ottawa just being a bucket of shit. But they came back 5-1 against the Leafs. So, I mean, that's fine. To Vancouver sucking a bag of ass. To Edmonton saying they're the best in the division. Calgary slumping. Like, it's such a fun fucking division. And I cannot wait to watch the hockey game once I'm done recording this. I cannot wait. I'm so fucking excited. That being said, I made the joke a little earlier, but let's talk about the Habs firing Claude Julien. I'm confused. And from what I've read on Twitter, it seems like they were saying that they saw a team that looked confused. And so because they thought that the team looked confused, they saw the warning signs, and after last night, it was basically clear this was going to happen. But they're confident in their assistant coach. I think it's Dominic Ducharme. I might be saying that wrong. All I know is he used to coach the Mooseheads. So, and Bergevin has come out and said that he's very confident in that coach. And my whole thing is, and this is very similar to the Toronto Maple Leafs situation last season with Mike Babcock. And Steve Dangle, I think, said it best when he said, if you were going to do it, why did you wait? In this case, you gave him 18 fucking games, which he won most of. He's now on a skid, and now is when you fire him? In the middle of a pandemic season? Like, if you were going to fire him, if you weren't confident, if you were not 100% confident, if you're sitting there going, shit, I don't know if Claude's the right guy. And you make this big move, get Josh Anderson and fucking Tyler Toffoli and fucking Corey Perry and all these other great players going into a pandemic season where you very well know you're in a division that's kind of weak. Why go in with a coach that you're not confident in? Like, that's what confuses me about the whole thing. If you weren't confident in him from the start, you should have fired him before the season started. Was he afraid that because Julien was out with the fucking heart problem that he had, that he would look bad if he did it? Like, what was it? It just doesn't line up to me. It doesn't. It does not line up to me. So, I don't know why they would do that. But we'll see what happens in Montreal, man. We'll see. Because, like, it's very weird to me to fire your coach now. Like, I get that you are on a bit of a skid, but everyone's going to be on a skid. The Leafs will probably lose 3 or 4 straight at one point, and I'll have a mental breakdown, but it'll be fine, because that's what happens. So, I don't know. I feel really weird about that situation. For Habs fans, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you have to deal with that right now, but that is the duality of hockey and the duality of sport, if I'm using that word correctly. The Spider-Man movie was named No Way Home. I thought that was really interesting. It's a weird. I think it's a good title. No Way Home makes sense. And, I mean, I'm assuming Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire then are stuck in this alternate dimension, and now they have to go back to their own dimensions. I don't know. I still am really curious to see how it's going to work. The most important thing about the announcement isn't the name, it's the fact it's coming out this Christmas. And that's great fucking news. That's fantastic news. I cannot wait to see that in theaters. Fuck, we're hopefully have theaters by then. Jesus Christ. While we're on the subject of Marvel, WandaVision has been quite a fucking surprise. When it first was announced, I wasn't excited for it. I was excited for Loki, which also just had news that it's coming out in June, so that's exciting. I was excited for Falcon and the Winter Soldier because I thought that would be really cool. And that was really it. Besides that, I wasn't super excited about much of the Marvel stuff that's going on. Besides like Black Panther 2 and I'm not super into a lot of the stuff going on in Marvel, but the Spider-Man movie I was for sure, but it's Spider-Man. Everyone loves Spider-Man. So, well, and Thor. Thor looks like it's going to be cool. I think I'm developing a crush for Natalie Portman. Just a little bit. But I wasn't watching out for WandaVision, and I should have. Because that show is fucking fantastic. Like, absolutely awesome. The fact that each episode is a different kind of sitcom. First, it goes through the different years, and then the last one was the 90s, and the 90s one reminded me like of Life with Derek more than it did the 90s, I would say. Like, it really gave me Life with Derek vibes, and I don't know why. And then the last one was basically an Office or Parks and Rec style. Which I thought was fantastic. I thought that was really fun. I love the interview style, man. I love it. It's so good. Sarah and I recently watched The Office in full, and what a masterpiece that show is. I absolutely adore it. But yeah, if you haven't seen WandaVision and you're a Marvel fan, and you're a Marvel fan, you have to see WandaVision. It is so good. I love the characters in it, and I'm liking Wanda more and more. Also, did you know she's Mary-Kate and Ashley's sister? I had no fucking idea. I saw a tweet about that. Her name is Elizabeth Olsen. I should have connected the fucking dots. But no, little old me over here is like, oh, she looks pretty good. Yeah, she does, Nick. Thanks. Like, I'm not even fucking being like, oh, hey, that's Olsen. Where have I heard Olsen before? Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. She even looks like him. I wasn't connecting the dots, man. Fuck. So yeah, that was really good. I'm excited to see where that ends. I think we have 2 or 3 episodes left. So I'm really excited to see where that goes. Because so far it's been great, and it's Agatha all along. It was Agatha all along. I wanted to speak briefly on a fucked up subject, and that was Sarah and I also watched the Netflix docuseries Night Stalker. We also watched the one on Elisa Lam, and I left that basically thinking, okay, it was bipolar. Like, once they explained everything to me, I was like, okay, you've made it make sense. I didn't think you could make sense, but you made it make sense. And if you're a psychiatrist, I'm inclined to believe you when I look at this person that's doing like fucking this shit, and I'm going, that's paranormal. Like, something is wrong with that person. Get her some help. And a psychiatrist goes, no, people with bipolar can actually do that. Then I go, oh, so it's just a mental illness then. Damn, the brain is crazy. You know what I mean? Once a doctor says it, I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. So yeah, it's shit. Sorry. My monitor went on sleep mode, so it just fucking blew. So that's going to be a fun thing to look back on, but yeah. So that docuseries was okay. I think the Cecil Hotel is fucked. The manager was really weird to me, and I know she's probably getting shit on. I don't care. But, like, she was just odd. You ever look at a person and you're like, you're fucking weird. Like not in a rude way, but you just, like, want to know what's going on. Do you know what I mean? You're not sitting there like, ew, he's weird. You're sitting there going, I need to know more about you. Because you fucking fascinate me. You fascinate me. Like, that's the kind of shit with her. I was just looking at her like, I need to know what you've been through. Because you've been through some shit. The fucking look in her eyes. She was one of those people where her eyes are always too fucking big. You know what I mean? She was always talking into the camera like, you know, we really tried to get the people some help. Like, it was like, off-putting for sure. But then we watched Night Stalker, and Night Stalker was way better, first off, in my opinion. But not because it was directed better. I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care about direction. I don't care about any of that. It's a documentary. I care about what I'm learning. And in this case, I learned about one of the most fucked up serial killers I've ever heard of in my life. Like, and this is where I want to talk a little bit in depth about this, because this bothers me, and I don't know how I feel about it, and maybe you guys can make me feel a bit better and give your thoughts down below. I watch the documentary, and then I do what I normally do, which is look it up online. I'm curious of other people's opinions. And so I looked up online, because normally whenever you see a docuseries on Netflix, you'll see an article, and I don't know if it's the same people that write it, BuzzFeed News, or someone ends up writing the fucking article. What Night Stalker missed? And it's just all the stuff that they've neglected to mention as part of the documentary. And I was really curious about Night Stalker, because I wanted to know. I'm like, as far as I'm concerned, this is one of the most fucked up people I've ever seen in my life. This is a serial killer that broke into a person's home, shot the father in the head. Oh, hold on. Trigger warning. Here's a little trigger warning. If you don't want to hear about sexual assault, and you don't want to hear about people dying, I would pause the video here. Give me a few minutes. I'll try to put the timestamp in. There. If you don't want to hear about this shit, I will put the timestamp down below, and then you don't have to hear about this horrible shit I'm about to say. Shot a man in the head, sexually assaulted the mother, and then beat her mercilessly, and then sexually assaulted her 6-year-old son and beat him, I think, to death. I don't know if he left the kid alive. I know the mother was alive and in a lot of pain. But to murder someone is one thing. To sexually assault someone is something else. To also sexually assault children? And I'm not talking like fucking 16, 17-year-olds, like, you know, again, there shouldn't be levels to pedophilia, but you know what I'm trying to say. There's not, if you have sex with a minor, that's gross, and you're a pedophile. But, like, if you fuck a 17-year-old compared to if you fuck a 6-year-old, let's be honest, there's levels. You're both wrong, but at least if there's a 17-year-old, there's a chance you just didn't check for, like, you just didn't check, right? If it's a 6-year-old, that's a 6-year-old. You fucking know that's a kid. You know what I mean? You decided, I'm going to fuck a kid. Rather than, I'm going to fuck this young girl who could be 21, could be 16. You're both gross. It's just one, you knew what you were doing a little bit more. So my point is, and the other thing too, it wasn't even just fucking adults. He was doing it to like 70-year-old women. Who the like with most serial killers, right? Like Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy was like very fucking focused on young girls. He wanted young women. Like the oldest victim I think he had was in her 30s or some shit. Like in early 30s. Like almost every woman he raped and killed was in her early 20s or like very, a little bit earlier. Young women was his target. This motherfucker just raped and murdered and killed everybody. 70-year-old women. He raped and murdered a fucking 6-year-old. Like he was just the entire spectrum. He's just like, I don't give a fuck. Like that's evil. And like this is where we draw the line. And this is what I was talking about where I wanted your guys' thoughts. So in that article I read, it said what did this docuseries miss? And what it said was that it didn't outline his horrific childhood. And listen, his childhood sounded fucking awful. Apparently, he watched his cousin murder his own wife when he was a kid. He basically saw a person kill another person when he was very, very young. And this was his family. His father tied him out to a fucking, what is it called? Tied him out to a cross overnight. Numerous times as punishment. Probably beat him mercilessly. Like, awful, awful, awful childhood. And listen, we can talk all day about mental health issues and how they need to be better treated. I think a big thing about serial killers is a lot of them could probably be prevented with proper mental health care, to be honest with you. At the same fucking time, though, I ain't making excuses for you, man. I'm just not. Like, on one hand, I want to be like, hey, man, cut him some slack. It's because of his upbringing. On the other hand, I'm like, you're still an evil fuck, and I'm glad you're dead. I just am. Maybe that's the evil. Maybe that's the hatred in me. Maybe it is. And I'm a kind of person that thinks eye for an eye. Honestly, I am. And do I think a person that has murdered one person should go to jail? And am I a person eye for an eye where if you're a murderer, like O.J. Simpson, do I think O.J. Simpson deserves to die? No. I wish he was in prison, but I don't want him to die. That fuck? Yeah, I want him to die. Ted Bundy? Yeah, I want him to die. Like, I'm one of those people where I think there's levels. I think really bad serial killers, yeah, I'm one of those people where it's like, I want you to have a painful death. I do. I think you have levels. I guess that's kind of my thought process. But what do you guys think? Do you think that we should be more sympathetic? Like, I'm not saying don't be sympathetic to mental health issues. I'm just saying, to be honest, I don't really care to hear you sympathize with these serial killers. Like, you can sympathize with them, but you need to make it fucking clear that, yes, they had all these mental health issues and we should treat mental health issues better and maybe we could have prevented this. But don't fucking be like, it wasn't his fault, man. It's his upbringing. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. Tell me what you think down below. I'm curious. I'm really curious about that question. But if you are into true crime, you're into learning about serial killers, Night Stalker is fantastic. It is very fucked up. And if you're a victim of sexual assault or if you're uncomfortable hearing about sexual assault in detail, I definitely recommend against watching it. Because there are a few parts that go into detail and it's really fucked up. So yeah, just please watch out for that. But let me know what you think because it's a fantastic, fantastic show. I want to talk about Overwatch for a minute. Overwatch is a huge part of my life. I am a massive fan. I would honestly say it's my favorite game of all time. And it has taken me to the point beyond frustration right now. BlizzCon just happened, and they gave us a bunch of information about Overwatch 2. Insanely little information about the multiplayer, the PvP experience, very little information about the PvP, and it really bothered me because that's all your current game is. And I know that you want to excite people with your new ideas, but you didn't give us a release date. You gave us very little news. What you did give us was exciting, I'll give you that. But you blatantly said Overwatch 2 information is coming out of BlizzCon. So get ready, guys. Don't worry. You'll have till BlizzCon, and we're going to break our silence, and we're going to talk about the game. And then you gave us very little information about the only thing the game has right now. There is no campaign mode in Overwatch 1. There is no fucking PvE in Overwatch 1. I mean, there are in certain events, but you know what I fucking mean. So, to give us so little with no release date and no end in sight for players that are playing right now, all they could play is PvP. What the fuck do we have to look forward to right now? What? Overwatch League's coming around the corner. It's pretty neat. And what do those pros have to fucking look forward to? Nothing's coming. Nothing is coming. Tell me what's happening in this game. Nothing is happening in this game. It's the same fucking thing that it's been since release. Like, they've made changes. Don't get me wrong. They've made changes. And since release is a bit much. I'll give it that. But, you know, they've added roll queue. They've added the priority passes. Fucking cool. Make me play your game faster. Great. But, like, I've given up. I was a DPS main for a very long time. I gave up. I'm done playing DPS. Because ranked is a fucking awful experience right now where I can spend 10 minutes waiting in queue to play DPS to have a team that doesn't fucking care play a 2 CP match, and I've waited 10 minutes to play a 3-minute fucking 2 CP match. Tell me that's worth my time, Blizzard. It's not. It's just not. So I'm done. I'm going to play tank now. I think I'm going to play... I'm really good at Zarya. So I think I'm going to try to main Zarya, play some Reinhardt, maybe Diva. You know, mix it up a bit because I still do really enjoy the game. But that long of a wait time for a ship game, it's not worth it. At least if I have a shit game in tank, I can queue back up and I'm back in another game in 30 seconds to a minute. You know, it's more worth my time. When I play DPS for 2 hours and I get into maybe 4 to 5 games and like 2 of those games are shit, I wasted basically 2 hours of my fucking life. You know? It's just not worth it anymore. Whereas tank, I can play fucking 4 games in an hour and just immediately get back into the next game, and maybe I've 8 shit games in 2 hours, but at least I played 8 fucking games. You know, it's just different, and I'm sick of it. So I'm gonna switch to tank and support now. Just got ranked, and I'm in gold now in tank, which is good. I started in bronze for a very long time, and I've recently gotten to gold. I've carried myself off my Zarya. Got a good Zarya. Surprising that a DPS main is good at Zarya. Weird. But yeah. That being said, I am actually genuinely excited about the Overwatch League. I'm a huge Defiant fan, and I cannot wait for this year. I did a Q&A with them, and it was fantastic. I'm so excited to see what they do this year. I think they have a really good team. I think they're going to surprise people, and I can't wait to see the performance they put up, man. I think it's going to be dope. Having Sato and Hisu and Lastro and all these great players on the team, and Logix, obviously, it'll be really fun to see what they can pull off, and I can't wait to get started. I think it's April. But once they get started, we're going to be talking about the Defiant on this podcast all the fucking time. So get used to it. Toronto Maple Leafs, Toronto Defiant. Let's get talking, So, but yeah, that's basically all I really wanted to talk about for this podcast. So, it's the first one. I hope you really enjoyed it, and I hope to see you again very soon. I'm going to try to put out one podcast during the week and one podcast on the weekends. And, who knows, maybe next time I talk for longer, maybe I have guests on, maybe I do something else with this. There's lots of avenues I can go down. But for now, I think I'm going to cap this off, and I think I had a really good time, and I hope you did too. So I will see you again sometime soon. Please subscribe if you want to down below. Follow me on Twitter. Join my and my fiance's streams. You can follow us on Twitch down below. Join our Discord down below. The whole shebang. You can do all of that. So I hope to see you there. And this has been the Iggy Pod. I'll see you guys later. Bye.